Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillahi wa ala alihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome everybody to today's lesson on the fiqh of Ramadan, the fiqh of fasting. So somebody's microphone is on. Mother, can you please switch your microphone off? Thank you. Right. So this, as we know, we've just started the blessed month of Ramadan. This is the second day for us here in Saudi Arabia and the Middle East, and it's the first day for the people in Morocco and England and in the West. So Mabruk, Ramadan Mubarak to everybody. May Allah accept your fasts, may Allah accept your worship, may Allah free you from hell this month. As we know, fasting is a great virtue, and a lot can be read in the book Riyadus Salihin, and we will read inshallah the virtues of fasting in that book. But this is a lesson of fiqh and not of the virtues of fasting, so we're going to stick to our topic. Just a few notes that I do want to mention on fasting before we start is that, as we know, it's the greatest month. It's one of the greatest months of the Muslim calendar, alongside the Hijjah, the month of Hajj, where the Hajj is conducted. And fasting is of such great significance that the reward of the fasting person is with Allah. Only Allah knows the reward of the fasting person, because fasting is an action that you do that nobody knows you're doing. Nobody knows you're doing this action except for your Lord. So the reward is with your Lord as well. Now there's a special gate called Rayyan. This is to be opened and to be used only by the fasting person. So only the fasting person will have the special privilege to go through this gate called Rayyan. Rayyan means it's someone whose thirst has been quenched. So the one who enters this gate will not feel any thirst, will not feel any hunger, will not feel any pain, will not feel anything negative, and his life shall be beautiful in every way because of the sacrifices he did before in his prior life. Now when he has attained to his goal, he shall only find beauty with his Lord. That's the gate called Rayyan. So when Allah admits you into his mercy, into paradise, you'll never feel thirsty. Your thirst will be forever quenched, your hunger and all your desires that were needs that you needed to fulfill to live in this world, and that worried you if they were not met immediately, will never give you problems again in the hereafter. Fasting is also a shield that protects you. A fasting person is protected by an invisible shield. Why? Because it teaches you self-control. When you fast, you are conscious that you're fasting. Every year during Ramadan, people start to feel more pious. They're more aware of the sins they do. They're more aware and God conscious. They tend to worship more, because we know in this month the devils are chained. So we're freed from the majority of the waswas that we have from shaitan. So we're free to worship. And our fasting is like an invisible shield that we're wearing. Whenever we want to sin, we hold back. We realize we're fasting. Whenever we want to do something that's disliked, we realize we're fasting. The fasting person has been told by Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that if you're in an argument with somebody and you're fasting, just tell him, Ana Sa'im, Ana Sa'im. Why? Because that will protect you from your reminding yourself. First and foremost, you're reminding yourself, I am fasting. I should know better. So I will walk away. And he will also feel the same, and he will walk away. So it's a shield. It teaches you self-control. Sawm in Arabic literally means to withhold. It could be used for speech. It could be used for many things. So when someone is stopped from walking, he is in a state of sawm. When a horse is not given food and a horse is not eating, it's also considered sa'im. It means basically to withhold something from yourself. Its legal definition is what we need to look at. It's in the book by Imam Shalambululi. The legal definition of fasting is to withhold from eating, drinking and sexual intercourse during daylight hours with an intention of fasting performing by one capable and required to do so. So we're going to break this down and have a look at it. So also there are 7 types of fasts that fall into 7 different categories, and we need to know what they are. So the 7 types of categories for fasting is the obligatory fast, the mandatory fast, the Sunnah, the recommended, the voluntary, and the prohibitively disliked, and the mildly disliked. So we're going to have a look at what kind of fast fits into each category. So we have first the obligatory fast. This is the fast of Ramadan during the whole month. This is obligatory. Nobody can deny that this is obligatory. It's in the Quran. If somebody denies this fast, they are no longer a Muslim. It's rewardful to fast and it's sinful to stop. Okay? So the opposite of obligatory is something you have to do, and if you don't do it, you're sinful. As well as make-up fasts. Any fasts that you have to make up, that you missed prior, such as Ramadan fasts of expiation, kafara we call them, they also are obligatory. And vowed fasts. Fasts that you have made a promise that I will fast. So once you've said this, you've made that fast obligatory upon yourself. You have to now do that fast. It's sinful for you to miss that fast. Then we have the mandatory, which is the wajib. So making up of broken voluntary fasts. This becomes wajib for you to complete. Now for all intents and purposes, there's not much difference between a wajib and a fard. There's a slight difference in understanding, but for our needs, it's the same thing. So if you, for example, one of you is about to do something and it doesn't happen, and then you vow to Allah, oh Allah, if you make this action happen, I will fast for you. Or, oh Allah, I've lost such and such a belonging of mine that's very important for me, and if you make me find it, I shall fast. Or, oh Allah, I'm going for a job, if you give me this job, I shall fast for you. In a situation like this, whether you get the job or you don't get the job, you've obliged yourself to fast. If you get the job, you've obliged yourself to fast. So anything that you make an intention to start, then you must finish in the Sharia. So you've obliged it upon yourself. You made that fast fard upon yourself, so you have to finish it. Then we have Sunnah, the Sunnah fasts. So the fasting of the blessed month of Ashura, the 10th of Muharram, along with the 9th, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, it expiates the sins of the year before and the year to come. Right? And now this was a fast that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, used to fast before coming to Medina. There was an old fast that he used to do before. Imam Hajar al-Asqalani in Fath al-Bari mentions that the Prophet, peace be upon him, in the early days of Islam, in order to differentiate himself from the actions of the kuffar, would sometimes take on some of the actions of the people of the book. When there wasn't clear guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or there wasn't a clear instruction to do so or not to do so, he would sometimes do this. So this was a particular fast that the Prophet used to do a long time before he realized the Jews were doing it. So when he realized the Jews were doing it, he asked them, why do you do this? He says, because this is the day that Allah gave Moses success and took us out of bondage into freedom. So he said, we have a greater right, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we have a greater right to Moses than you do, so we will fast this day. We have already been fasting this day, and we shall fast this day, and in a bid to differentiate between the Jews, we will fast the 9th. When there was a hadith recorded that he said, if I live next year, I will fast the 9th and the 10th, meaning that we will fast the 2 days, not the 1 day, to be the same as the Jews. So it's better to fast the 9th and the 10th, but if you can't for some reason, you're sick, traveling, or whatever it may be, then you can fast the 10th and the 11th. Then there are the recommended mandub fasts. What are these? These are fasting the 3 days of every month, fasting the Monday and the Thursday. the fasting, the 6 days of Shawwal. Now, the fasts of Shawwal, they can be fasted directly after Eid, right? But some of the ulama have said it's better to separate this fast. Why? Because what the Jews did, what the Christians would do, is they would join acts of worship and make acts of worship more difficult than they were for themselves. And as a result, that drove them away from the religion, and it can drive Muslims away from the religion if they do the same thing. So for example, if we're fasting 30 days of Ramadan, and then straight after Ramadan, if you're fasting another 6 days, people who don't know much about Islam can see this and think that this is the fast. The fast is 46 days, and they could get turned away from this, right? But the reality is that the ulama have said, it's fine to fast this fast on the 6 days after Ramadan. Why? Because you have taken a break. Your break was Eid al-Fitr. You took a break, and now you're getting back to fasting. And the other schools say the same thing, that you can fast. So whether you break the fast up or whether you fast it consecutively, it's fine, because your niyyah is in the right place. You're not joining it, making it obligatory, or people should join it and nothing else, which basically ends up being an action that the Christians used to do. So we have, then we have the fasting for the 3 days per month, right? Now, it's recommended in the Sunnah to fast 3 days a month. Once a Badu came to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and he said to the Prophet, he fasted 3 days. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, if you do fast the 3 days, it's better for you to fast the 3 white days. What are the 3 white days? The 3 white days are the 13th, 14th, 15th, or the 14th, 15th, and 16th. I think it's the 13th, 14th, and 15th. These are the days when the moon is full. So it's full, and it's 98%, then it's 100%, and then it's full. So it's never dark, because in the daytime it's light, and then the minute sundown happens, the moon rises and it's light again. So these days have a charm to them. They're luminous days, they're brightly lit, so they're known as the 3 white days. It's better to fast on those 3 days. Some of the companions would actually fast 1 day in the first day. So in a month you have 30 days. So because it's a sunnah to fast 3 days at least in this month, some Sahaba would fast the first 10 days, the first day of the 10 days, then the second day of the second 10 days of the month they would fast, and then the last 10 days. So after, on day 21 they would fast. They would fast on day 1, day 10, and day 20, right? And they would do that continuously. So they're always fasting every 10 days of their life, right? Some of the companions would fast towards the end of the month. So they would say, okay, we've come to the 27th, 28th, and 29th now. We are going to fast these days on these 3 days to make up for the sins that we did in the previous month. So you can fast any way you want, but the recommendation of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, is that it's better to fast on the white days. Now, also, fasting on a Monday and on a Thursday is from the Sunnah. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, used to fast on a Monday because he said, I was born on this day and the Quran was revealed on this day. So it's a blessed day, and to celebrate the magnanimity of this day, the blessedness of this day, and to show thanks for this day, and to understand the huge immensity of these days, we fast. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, fasted, and we fast. Why on a Thursday? There's another hadith that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said that deeds are taken up and showed to the Lord. Works are raised to the Lord of the world, so I love that the works are raised while I am fasting. So if you fast on a Monday and if you fast on a Thursday, these are the 2 days where your deeds are raised up to your Lord, to the Lord of the worlds, Rabbul Alameen. And Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, would love to be seen fasting at that time when your deeds are shown to your Lord. So then we have we mentioned the fast of Shawwal. Also the fasting, the scholar didn't mention this in the book, but also it's known that the fast of the day of Arafah is a great reward. Fasting on the day of Arafah is a great reward. It's one day before Eid al-Adha, and it wipes away deeds of the previous year and the coming year. So there's a great reward for fasting on the day of Arafah, and this opportunity should not be missed by anybody. So then we have the voluntary, the nawafil fasts. This could be any day of fasting that you choose to fast for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But there's an understanding behind it. As long as there's no reprehensibility in fasting on that day, i.e. it's not makruh to fast on that day, or it's not forbidden. So you can fast, and what days would be forgiven? For the days that were forbidden to fast, we look at that as we go down in our list. But it's generally, you can fast at any time during the year, apart from 5 days where it's forbidden, it's sinful for you to fast. If you want to fast, you can fast. There's no problem with that. Prohibitedly disliked, makruh tanzihan. So there are some days where it's disliked. Now, when would it be disliked? To single out fasting on a Saturday or on a Sunday or on a Friday or on Nowruz or on Mahrajan. Why these days? Is because why the Saturday? Because Saturday is a religious day for the Christians. Saturday is a religious day for the Jews, and Sunday is a religious day for the Christians. Some people might say, oh well, this is a blessed day for the Christians because of some action that they did and Allah loved it, or Allah made it mandatory for them to rest on this day and worship, so we take this as a blessed day. No, that becomes disliked, right? And also to regularly fast on these days, it could seem like to people that your worship is the same as the worship of the Christians. But if you fast on like you made a genuine intention to fast tomorrow, or it was a vow or something like this, and it falls upon a Friday, a Saturday or a Sunday, it's fine. So if you fast, if you single out the day, okay, I'm going to fast on a Saturday because of this reason, then it becomes makruh. But if you generally decide to fast and it falls on a Saturday, or Saturdays is your day off, it's hard for you to fast on weekdays from Monday to Friday when you go to work, but Saturdays you have a day off, and that's the only day you can fast, and you regularly fast on a Saturday, there's no problem with this because your niyyah is in the right place. Fridays, some scholars say it's disliked to fast on a Friday because Friday has its own worship specified for it. Friday has the Friday prayer and Quran you are supposed to read. It has other forms of worship that are specified for that day. So some scholars say it's disliked, but again, you can fast on the day if you choose. Why Nowruz and Mahrajan? Because these are two Persian festivals of the spring, the first day of spring and the first day of autumn. Now these are just normal festivals with no religious implications. There's nothing blessed about those days. There's nothing special about those days, but they are important days in the Iranian cultural sphere, the countries around the Iranian heartlands, such as northern Pakistan, Afghanistan, Tajikistan, parts of Uzbekistan, Iran, parts of Iraq, I would say even, parts of Turkey, all the way up to Albania even, because the Turks took it to Europe. They got it from the Iranians. So these festivals are held, I would say, even in northern Syria, where the Kurds are. So these festivals are nothing to do with religion, but people, sometimes over the centuries, somebody might think, oh, well, there's a religious significance and I'm going to fast on this day. No, it becomes makruh tanzihan if you decide to fast on this day, singling this day out. But if you fast on this day, normally, if it's a normal fast that happens to fall on this day, or you didn't know this day was going to happen tomorrow, and you decide you wanted to fast, or even if you know it's this day, but you haven't singled this day out, there's nothing wrong with fasting on this day. Also, to fast consecutively, right? Sawm al-Wisal, So to fast and fast consecutively without a break, it's disliked. It's disliked to fast 2 days in a row without eating. Why? Because you should fast and break your fast and enjoy your day and then fast again, right? It becomes sinful. So what about those people? It becomes disliked, sorry. So what about the people that fast for the whole year? Why would it be sinful? Well, the idea of fasting for the whole year, there's nothing wrong with it. But why do the ulama say it's makruh tanzihan? It becomes disliked to the highest degree. It's because of the result of what happens when you fast consecutively. If you were to fast for the whole year, you would weaken yourself. Now, when you weaken yourself, you can't perform your other duties that are obligatory for you. This fast that you're doing for the whole year is not fard on you. It's not obligatory upon you. But by doing this, you may end up neglecting those duties that are obligatory upon you, such as you becoming so weak that you can't pray properly, such as you becoming so weak that you can't work properly, right? So in these situations, because you're going to end up missing something that's obligatory, this becomes makruh upon you to fast like that. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, don't do this, but if you feel like you must, then fast the fast of Dawood alayhi salam, which is to fast 1 day, break another day, break. This is known as the fast of the prophets. Now I mentioned that it's sinful for you to fast on some days. Where is it sinful for you to fast on some days? It's sinful for you to fast on the day of Eid and the 2 Eids, so the Eidains. So Eid al-Fitr, Eid al-Adha, and then the 3 days after Eid al-Adha. It becomes sinful for you to fast on that day. Why would it become sinful? Because those are the days when you are a guest of Allah. Allah has invited you to be merry, to enjoy, to eat, to drink, to be happy, to praise your Lord, to worship your Lord, to see your friends, to enjoy the day, right? And Allah has invited you to a banquet and you're fasting? That's not very nice now, is it? And it's going khilaf against the Sunnah. So you're going against, you're going against the command of Allah. It becomes sinful. Allah has told you to enjoy that day, and you're fasting on that day, so it becomes sinful for you. So all types. Okay, so now we're going to move on to the intentions of the fasts. So all types of fasts require an intention. The following types require an intention and a specification of the type of the fast, as well as that you intend to be made the previous night before. So what he's saying, what Imam Shanabululi is saying in the book, is these fasts that we're going to talk about now, you need to have an intention before the time of the prayer, before the time of the fast in the morning, and you need to know what type of fast you're doing. So for example, for make-up fasts of Ramadan, so if you're making up a qada fast that you missed in your previous life, previous years, or due to circumstances that were your circumstances, then if you're making that fast up, you need to have an intention. Your intention needs to be between Maghrib and the next day Fajr. So before Fajr hits, not before Maghrib, because that's a different day. The night for the day after starts after Maghrib. So your attention needs to be from between Maghrib and the Fajr of the next day. You need to be sure that you're making a make-up fast. Make-ups for voluntary fasts that one invalidated. Now, a voluntary fast is a fast that I did because I just wanted to fast. Now, we have this principle in Islam that once you start something for Allah, it's not nice to leave it. You have to finish the action. If you wanted to fast for Allah and you broke that fast, then you should fast again and you should finish that fast. So even for a nafil fast like that, you should make up your intention that day. Fasts of expiation, kafara, this is the same thing, right? Fasts of expiation, kafara would be fasts that you're doing for breaking a vow. So if you broke a vow or something like that, then you need to fast. This also needs to be done with an intention the day before. So unspecified vows. So if you made a vow, say you said, I will fast if this and this happens. You didn't say I will fast tomorrow. You didn't say I will fast next year. You never said anything. But you need to make up that fast now. So you need to, again, when you come to make up, when you want to do that fast, you have to in your mind have that niyyah that this is the fast I'm doing. This was the vow that I made. It wasn't clear, and this is the fast that I'm doing. Right? So you must remember, okay, last week I made a promise to Allah. I wasn't clear on when I was going to fast, but Allah, I'm going to fast today. When I wake up in the morning, I'm going to sleep now, I'm going to wake up Fajr, I'm going to eat something, and I'm going to fast. So the following types of fast require neither specification of the type of fast, not that the intention be made the previous night before Fajr, rather the intention may be made any time from the previous night until midday. Right? Dahwa kubra. Now this midday doesn't refer to 12 o'clock, it refers to half the day from the time of Fajr to the time of Maghrib. So if you break that in half, it comes just before midday. So any time before this time, you can make a niyyah. Now what kind of fasts are those? Fasting for Ramadan. Fasting for Ramadan, you don't need a specific niyyah when you go to sleep. Right? You can totally forget and wake up in the morning and the time is 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, and you're like, oh, you know what? I should have been fasting today. Khalas, I'm fasting. Oh Allah, I'm going to not eat anything now. I'm going to fast for you. It's Ramadan fast. Right? For a Ramadan fast, because the fast is there for a whole month, you don't need a specific niyyah the night before. Okay? The resolve needs to be there even if it didn't occur to you that it was Ramadan. Even if you intended to fast for a Monday or make up and you fasted, it will count as a Ramadan fast. What does that mean? That means that if it's the month of Ramadan, any fast that you decide to do, I'm going to fast. A general fast. It will be a Ramadan fast. Because Ramadan fast takes the most precedence. It's more important than any other fast. So if you intend to fast for a Monday or a make-up fast, let's say it's Monday now, it's Monday, and you fast regularly on Mondays, but you forgot, it slipped your mind that it's Ramadan. So you went to sleep, and then you woke up in the morning and you realized and you just fasted. That fast will count as a Ramadan fast. Why a Ramadan fast? Because we mentioned the fast of Ramadan is fard. When Ramadan comes, you can't have two fasts in the same day. The fasting that you did counts for the biggest fasting. So it's Ramadan. Even if you made the intention of fasting something else. Right? So even if it's a make-up fast, if you decide to do a make-up fast for last year, and you wake up in the morning and you totally forgot and you realize that, Ya Allah, I want to fast today. But it happens to be Ramadan. You're going to be fasting Ramadan by default. This is not a make-up fast. Okay? Unspecified vows. If I just made a vow and I decide that I'm going to make a vow on that day. So I wake up on the day and I make a promise to Allah first thing in the morning, I want to fast for you. So you just fast that day. It's not a problem. Right? Before midday, which is close to 12 but it's not 12. And voluntary nawafila. So you wake up in the morning and you feel strong, you feel healthy, and you think, you know what? I feel like fasting today. So you make a niyyah. It's not midday. You just make a niyyah. You haven't eaten anything, and then you just start fasting. It doesn't need to be at Fajr time. It doesn't need to be for before Fajr. Okay. So these fasts, your niyyah can be made the day after. So the next, our author next talks about the crescent moon, the hilal. So the beginning of the month of Ramadan is established either by sighting the crescent moon or by the completion of 30 days of Sha'ban. So what does he mean here? He means that we know that our lunar month is 29 days or 30, right? On the 29th you go and look for the moon. If you see the moon, the next day is Ramadan. If you don't see the moon, then you complete 30 days, and the next day you fast. Now, you don't need to look for the moon on the 30th day because you know it will be seen. It will be seen that day. You know this, right? It may have been around to be observed on the 29th, but nobody saw it because of the eyesight issue or weather conditions. So you just fast another day. You just add another day and it becomes 30 days, and then the next day, there's no month that's more than 30 days, so the next night will become Ramadan, right? One may not fast on the day of doubt, Yawm al-Shak, except as a voluntary fast for those who know. So what does this mean? So let's say it's the 29th. People have gone and they've gone to look at the moon. Nobody's seen the moon. Who knows? The moon may have been visible but nobody saw it. This is considered Yawm al-Shak now, a day of doubt. So we don't fast on this day. We don't fast on this day. We just wait till the next day to come, let 30 days finish, and then Ramadan starts. Why we don't fast on this day is because, again, it's like you're joining days to Ramadan. You join a day to the beginning of Ramadan, and people will start over time. The people who don't know anything about Islam will start to think that we are worshipping, this is a day of worship alongside Ramadan, when it's not. So it causes people to move away from Islam due to hardships that you create in the religion that Allah didn't put there for you. This is what the Christians and the Jews did. But the only people who can fast that day as a voluntary fast are the ulama, the shuyukh, the people who know the fiqh, who will not make a mistake. And they don't need to tell anybody they're fasting on this day. They're fasting because, hey, we feel like we can fast. If we saw the moon, we would have fasted. We didn't see the moon, let's not waste the day, let's fast. But they don't normally go and tell people. You don't normally tell people you're fasting, right? It's a personal act between you and your Lord. So Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, none of you proceed with Ramadan with a fast of a day or two before. So don't proceed Ramadan by fasting 1 or 2 days before, unless it's your habit. So if Ramadan is on a Friday, 29 days was the Thursday, nobody saw the moon, and I decide to fast on the Thursday, even though nobody saw the moon, this is my adah, this is my habit. I normally fast on a Thursday. It's okay. In that case, it's okay. Or if then you may fast, but not to purposely fast this day, because it's like the Christians who added to it, and eventually people will see this and find it hard to leave fasting, find it hard and leave fasting. So it's only recommended that the learned to fast on this day as a voluntary fast, and not the regular folk, as they will think it's a Ramadan fast and they'll consider it adding to the fast. The resolve is clear for religious people who fast voluntary. So a religious person, he will be 100% sure. Somebody who's not religious will say, well, I'm doing this fast, it may have been Ramadan, so I'm fasting a Ramadan fast. Here's the problem now, you see. You've given an extra day to Ramadan that doesn't exist, just like the Christians gave extra days to worship that weren't there. So now your fasting has become 30 days or 31 days, and over time, people who observe this will say, wow, Ramadan is difficult, look, it's 30 days, 31 days, 32 days, or 30, whatever, right? So only the ulama do this whose resolve is clear, their niyyah is clear that it's a voluntary fast. Okay, for the beginning of Ramadan, now about sighting the moon. For the beginning of Ramadan, if there is an obstruction in the sky, such as cloudiness or fog, then the sighting of one upright person is sufficient, even if it's a slave or a woman. Now, not to put woman down, we're not putting woman down by saying, oh, even if it's a woman. As we know, normally there are 2 women and 1 man, right? And the reason for making 2 women as witnesses in court is the protection of the woman, actually. But in religious affairs, only 1. Because when you're seeing the month of Ramadan, it's a religious obligation. It's a month of fasting. Nobody's doing this for their personal gain. It's not for the dunya, right? It's not for the dunya. So that's why even 1 witness of a woman is enough, right? A woman or a slave woman or a man, even 1 witness is enough, because it's for the sake of the religion. In religious matters, right, only 1 witness is sufficient. So for argument's sake, if water is dirty and I need to make wudu, or there is dirty water there and somebody knows the water is dirty, if I ask them, I need to make wudu, can I use this water? They will tell me it's dirty. I should trust them. I should trust them on this, because they're not expected to lie on religious matters, because it's not a matter of the dunya where they're benefiting in this world. It's a religious matter. So we know they're expected not to lie. So that's why we accept in religious affairs, one witness is enough. So for the completion of Ramadan, however, it's different. We said for the beginning of Ramadan, if there is an obstruction in the sky, then one person's witness is enough, even if it's a woman. But for the completion of Ramadan, so for Eid al-Fitr, however, if there is an obstruction in the sky, there must at least be 2 free male witnesses, or 1 male and 2 females. Why the difference? Because it's now not a religious duty. You're coming out of your religious duty into a worldly benefit. What's the benefit now? Eid. You're leaving Ramadan, it's Eid now, we're going to celebrate. So now the ruling is back to a normal ruling. 2 men or 1 man and 2 women. We treat it like a worldly witnessing. So we have 1 man and 2 women. If there is no obstruction in the sky, then there must be a large body of people that can sight the moon. Now, what is a large body of people? So when it's clear in the sky, many people must be witnessing the moon. We can't take the witness of just 1 person now. We need many people. How many people? A large group, so large that there's no room for error. What does that mean? So we don't take the testimony of a handful of people. 10 people came forward, or 20 people came forward in the whole country. Because in Muslim countries, especially for Eid, most people are out at Maghrib looking for the moon. So if most of the people are going to the roofs, going into the seashore or to the forests or up a hill looking at the moon, then how can only 20 people have come forward, right? So we say we need a large body of people to have seen the moon, especially if it's clear skies, right? And if only 10 or 20 people come forward, we say no, they didn't see the moon. They probably saw a wisp of a cloud, they saw a planet, Saturn, Venus, Jupiter, or they saw an alien flying saucer, ET, God knows, they saw something else, right? That's why some scholars said that 2 are enough, because also some scholars say today that 2 witnesses are enough in our times. And in some cities, people don't look at the moon anymore. Because people today, in today's world, especially in the West, we don't look at the moon anymore, right? So in this situation, we don't have a large body of witnesses showing us, telling us they saw the moon. So in a situation like this, we say only 2 people are enough. But who does this? We are not the judge. It's the judge that decides, and they weigh up all of the evidences, and then they give us the ruling, and it's binding upon us. We don't challenge it. We leave this to the judge. If the judge decides he wants to see a large number of people, we accept that. If he says only 2 people, we accept that. We don't fight over this issue. Right? Every Eid we see people fighting over these issues. We are not supposed to fight over these issues. The matter is really clear. So, moon sighting for Eid al-Adha, i.e. the month of Dhul Hijjah, as well as every other lunar month, takes the same ruling as that of Eid al-Fitr, which is that a large body of people need to see it. If it's cloudy, we have 2 witnesses. If it's not cloudy, a large body. Why? Because every other month is a normal month. It's not the month of Ramadan anymore. Moon sighting for Eid al-Adha, as well as every lunar month, takes the same ruling as Eid al-Fitr. So it takes the ruling of Eid al-Fitr. If it's cloudy, we have 2 witnesses, and if it's not cloudy, many people should see it. Okay? So every other lunar month, only 2 witnesses are allowed. Cloudy or no cloudy. So basically, for the 2 Eids and Ramadan, if it's cloudy, 2 witnesses, and if it's not cloudy, many. If it's cloudy, 2 witnesses. If it's not cloudy, many witnesses. But every other month, every other normal month outside of these months, we need a large body of people, 2 witnesses if it's cloudy, and if it's clear, as many people as we can find to witness this. Things that invalidate the fast. Now, things that will break your fast. Actions of one who is fasting are divided into 4 categories. Those that require a makeup and expiation. So a fast where you need to make it up and do the punishment for it. Those that require a make-up without kafara, those that require nothing and are not disliked, and those that require nothing yet are disliked. Now let's look at the categories. Those that require a make-up as well as expiation. If one eats or drinks something of nutritional value, i.e. something that you normally eat, so fool, falafel, sambosak, any of these things that you normally eat, this is nutritional value. Or something for medicinal purposes, that's nutritional value. But if you eat something that's not of nutritional value, what is he talking about here? Stones and dirt and stuff like that, just to fill your stomach, right? These things have no nutritional value. So we're talking about food here. Some people eat strange things just to make sure they're not hungry in Ramadan, right? So, or if one has sexual intercourse in either of the two passages, the front or the rear, on purpose. So if you have sex or you eat something deliberately, then he must make up the fast as well as perform the expiation. So, which is to free a slave, right? If he does not have one, he must fast 2 consecutive months, right? So if you break up a fast deliberately, you have to make up the fast, and then your kafara is to fast for 2 months non-stop. If you break the month, you have to fast again 2 months, and you have to free a slave if you have a slave instead of fasting. If you don't have a slave and you genuinely can't fast for 2 months, then you must feed 60 poor people with half a sa of wheat. Half a sa of wheat is 2.2 kg. Or you give the money, the equivalent money. So for example, if it costs, say, 8 dinar to feed people every day, and that's 2.2 kg of wheat is 8 dinar, and you have to feed this to 60 people, so you have to feed 60 poor people, then you just give the money, so 8 times 60, right? If, however, he does one of the above, namely he eats and drinks or has sexual intercourse out of forgetfulness, then he neither has to make up the fast nor perform expiation. So if you did the above, if you had sex, if you ate something and you forgot, then you don't have to make up the fast, nor do you have to do the expiation. But that doesn't mean that now you are free to eat. No, for the rest of the day you must act like a fasting person, even though you've broken your fast, but you must act like a fasting person. Those that require, the second category, those that require a make-up without expiation. So if you break these, if you break any of the rules here, you have to fast, but you don't have to make up your fasts. Faye, can you silence your button, please? Can you mute the call? Thank you, Faye. Hello, Faye. Hi, can you press the mute button, please? Thank you. So I'm just giving a lesson on Fiqh of Ramadan. We've only got 10 minutes left, and it's being recorded live. So that's why I'll talk to you in 10 minutes, inshallah. So something not normally eaten, no use for medicinal purposes, like dirt. So for example, if you decide to eat dirt, or somehow you were sleeping and dirt fell inside your mouth and it went inside you or something like this, then in this situation, you wouldn't have to, you make up your fast, but you don't need to do the 60 days of the punishment, right? Or if you accidentally swallowed water while rinsing your mouth, so you're making wudu, or it's a hot day and you've showered and some of the water has gone inside you. And in that situation, you've broken your fast, but you make it up, but you don't need to do the punishment, the kafara. Being coerced, if I force you with gunpoint to break your fast, if I force you or I sweet talk you or I make you feel so hungry that you've ended up breaking your fast, in this situation, if it was my fault, if I brainwashed you, if it was my fault, then again you just make up the fast and you don't do the kafara. But just because I said I made you so hungry, be careful with that statement. If I made you so hungry that you broke your fast, you have broken your fast, because everybody feels hungry during the month of fasting. I'm talking about forcing you to break your fast. Okay, so eating, even if intentionally in the daytime, for a fast in which the person did not make an intention. So for argument's sake, if you decided to fast a particular fast that you should have made an intention for, so you decided to fast a fast, say, of a makeup fast, a qada fast. Now, a qada fast of Ramadan, you need to make the niyyah before Fajr. If you didn't make the niyyah and you just said, oh yeah, you know, I'm going to fast today and this is going to be a fast of qada. In this situation, if you break your fast during the day, you don't need to make up, you just need to make up the fast without kafara. Why no kafara? Because this fast is not even a fast of Ramadan anymore, right? You made the niyyah at the wrong time. It was a make-up fast. You made the niyyah at the wrong time, and it's just a normal nafil fast for you now, right? Ejaculation due to touching or kissing. So if you're intimate with your spouse, you're kissing your spouse, and touching is going on, and you end up breaking your fast. In this situation, you make up your fast, but there's no kafara. Okay, someone pours water into the body of a sleeping person, i.e. the sleeping person must make up the day without. So somebody pours water down your nose, somebody pours water down your mouth, somebody pours water down your ear, and it penetrates. In this situation, you've broken your fast. There's no expiation, but you don't eat for the rest of the day. You still don't eat. Self-inducing vomit. So if you vomit, so some people, they have a habit of forcing themselves to vomit, or they feel so sick, they feel like if we vomit, we'll feel better. If you force yourself to vomit, mouthful or more, your fast is broken, and then there's no kafara, but you need to make up that fast, right? If you vomit less than a mouthful, it's okay. Those that require nothing and are not disliked. So category number 3, hijama, blood cupping or drawing blood, as long as it does not weaken him. So if you, during your fasting, if you draw blood, nothing will happen and it's not disliked. Using the miswak, using the siwak, even if used at the end of the day, it won't break your fast. Rather, it's a sunnah. So there's nothing wrong with that. Rinsing the mouth or the nose without any water proceeding down the throat. So when you make wudu, you put water in your mouth, you put water in your nose. As long as it doesn't go down the throat, there's no problem with that. No fast is broken, there's no dislikedness. The last category, those that require nothing, yet they are makruh. If one tastes some food or chews it without swallowing. So I'm cooking some food, I want to know if the spices are correct. So I taste the food, I chew the food to find out how it tastes like, without a valid excuse. Then I spit it out. Now some women do this. It's makruh. It's disliked, but there's nothing that you need to do. The only reason I suppose this would be allowed is if you have a real zalim husband, right? He beats the woman, he doesn't respect the woman, and any small mistake she makes, the food doesn't taste nice, too much salt, not enough spices, he ends up beating her. So in that situation, you can understand why someone would do that. Or if one kisses his spouse while not feeling secure from engaging in intercourse or from ejaculation due to the kissing. So if someone has a wife and he starts to kiss his wife and he knows that there's a chance he will lose control, in this situation it becomes makruh. So, but there's also another problem with kissing, by the way. Every time we mention kissing here, it's not mouth-to-mouth kissing. It's normal kissing, where you normally hug your spouse or kiss your spouse on the cheek, on the outside of her mouth. Deep kissing will inevitably break your wudu because you will exchange saliva. And the minute you've ingested somebody's saliva, you've broken your wudu. So the following actions are recommended, mustahab, for the one who is fasting. It's recommended to have a pre-dawn sahur meal, right, due to the blessings inside it, even if you only have water. To delay it, and to delay your sahur until just before Fajr, while being certain not to swallow anything after Fajr enters. Many people are of the opinion that if the adhan of Fajr goes, if you're eating, you can carry on eating. No, that's wrong. You will have broken your fast. So you need to make sure that you literally stop eating before the adhan of Fajr goes off. Okay? And to delay your fast to close to Fajr time is recommended. To hasten in breaking one's fast. Some people like to sit there for a good 5-10 minutes saying, relax, relax, it's not Maghrib yet, relax. It's okay, you fasted so long, it doesn't matter if you waste 10 days. No, this is against the Sunnah. The minute Maghrib time has happened, we know when Maghrib happens, right? We have watches and phones that give you accurate timings. And even if we don't have those phones, when the adhan goes in the mosque, we know it's Maghrib. We know it's Maghrib. You are supposed to open your fast. There's no reason for you to delay. To hasten in breaking one's fast unless it's cloudy, right? So if you don't have a phone or an app or a watch that tells you the time of Maghrib and it's cloudy, then yes, you can wait a few more minutes. But otherwise, there's no reason for you to wait otherwise. So I think the rest will carry on tomorrow because we are 1 hour into our class now. So this is part 1 of the fiqh of Ramadan. Inshallah, tomorrow we shall complete by doing the last part. So, wa akhiru da'wana wa alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. If there are any questions, please let me know now.